Well, welcome to C Files, folks. Let me roll up the windows. All right. So there's a lot going on. People always want to tailgate me. 25-mile-an-hour school zone, and I'm gonna have this guy riding my behind because he don't want to do 25 miles an hour through a school zone. It's funny because I see people getting pulled over all the time. I'm the one in the 500 horsepower muscle car, and I never get pulled over. Why? Because I obey the traffic laws. That's why. It's just an oddity. It really is. But anyway, the state, by the state I mean the federal government, I would have said at one point that they don't care if you're a Christian. They just care if you believe that Jesus Christ is King of Kings and Lord of Lords, that He's Lord, that He has sovereignty over the state, over the government. They don't want Jesus Christ having authority over them or sovereignty over them. And that was the issue with the Christians in the first century with Caesar in Rome, was that excuse me. Caesar didn't care if they were Christians. He could have been one of their gods among the other gods, but as soon as he became exclusively the one and only God and was a God that had his own kingdom, that was the issue that the Caesars had. But with news that I'm hearing lately coming out of Washington and things that whistleblowers are revealing, and people are coming out of prison because of speech crimes, like the InfoWars guy that just came out from serving, I think he served a month. What was it? I think a month, maybe a little over a month, in a prison for a speech crime, and then the DOJ coming out and targeting Christians, saying, that Christians, especially if you do a Latin Mass, which I'm not Roman Catholic, I don't believe in Roman Catholic doctrine, but you don't target Roman Catholics to do Mass in Latin. Why? Why would you? That's tyranny, right? So I don't want them doing that to Latin-speaking Roman Catholics. I don't want them doing that to anyone just based upon a religion, an ideology, or whatever it might be. Now, the DOJ, or actually the different, what is it they call them? The district attorneys, the attorneys that work for Biden all across the country. My old brain is just getting tired, and I'm not remembering what they're called. But anyway, they have come out now and openly discussing the idea that white males are a bigger threat to America than Hamas. Well, I don't know that Hamas is in America. I thought Hamas was over there in the Middle East, so maybe I was misinformed. But if these attorneys, these district attorneys, are U.S. district attorneys, are intent on got somebody coming into the crosswalk here. Yeah. Sorry, I have to drive and talk at the same time, folks. There we go. They're intent on going after white males simply because they're white males, and going after Christians simply because they're Christians, and going after anyone who has any thought that is contrary to what the regime wants them to have, then yep, they are correct. I am their biggest threat, because they are tyrants. And I am a warrior, a sheepdog, and I love to take down tyrants. I love to take down tyrants. So if that's the case, if that is who they are, then they're absolutely right. White male Christians who have morals and ethics and are willing to fight to defend their families and to fight to defend their communities are their biggest threat, because they are tyrants that they've committed an insurgency into our government, turned it into something we don't recognize, something that is contrary to what was founded by our founders. And so they have committed treason, in my mind, against the Constitution, against that very Constitution they swore an oath to. They have committed treason against it. And if that being the case, yep, I am their biggest threat. Bottom line. So let's just get it straight now. Okay? Why? Because I believe that Jesus Christ is King of Kings and Lord of Lords. I believe he is sovereign over the nations. I believe he does rule over the federal government, and that the federal government is responsible to Christ for their actions and will be held responsible by Christ for their actions, and there will be consequences. So they might want to get it right. But some things are happening, I believe, that are turning things around. And I just dropped my wife off at work, so hitting traffic. So anyway, one is they haven't been able to completely and utterly shut down our free speech. We have X. Elon Musk he has gone ballistic on these globalists that want to shut down free speech. He's gone total ballistic on them. Their biggest fear was that Alex Jones would get a voice again, and he got a voice. They are scared to death of Trump saying things, and so they put a gag order on Trump. But you know what? The more they gag Trump with their gag orders, the more they anger us, the American people. And the more we support Trump. And the more we look at Trump and we say, well, he's like us. You know, they deplatformed us off of social media because we didn't speak the way they wanted us to speak, or we said things they didn't want us to say, so they gagged us. Now they're gagging Trump, and we can identify with him. We can identify with what they've done to him because they did it to us. And so we support him even more, and even with more resolve. And that's why he's going to win the election. Because the deep state, the only thing they know how to do is to go after people. That's the only thing they know how to do. All right, gotta go. These homeless guys holding signs, you don't know if they're con artists or if it's for real. It's hard to know. But anyway, get on up here. So anyway, that's my thoughts. My thoughts are, I'm digging my heels in. I know millions of Americans are digging their heels in and saying, no, we're not budging. We're not sitting down. We're not shutting up. You're not going to be able to control us. If they start messing with our money and shutting down our accounts, doing digital IDs, saying, well, you can't buy or sell because you don't have the digital ID or whatever, because you don't have the shots, or you're low on your social credit score or some nonsense like that. We will do what's already starting to be done. We will create our own banks. If we have to, we'll create our own currency. We will produce our own farms, our own grocery stores, and we'll do business with each other. And we're not going to be asking permission from the federal government to do it. We'll bypass their system and create our own underground economy. It's been done for centuries, that kind of thing, right? What does the mafia do? The mafia has an underground economy. How do they move drugs? How do they exchange? How do they exchange money for drugs when they're peddling drugs? How did Al Capone do it with alcohol? He created his own underground economy. Drug dealers, or the drug cartels, they create their own underground economy. Shoot, they've even got their own armies. So look, if they can do it, why can't patriots, when the government is trying to starve us because they don't want us to have food, they want to empty out the grocery stores, they want to starve us, they want to, have us eating bugs or whatever else they want it to do. We just simply produce our own meat and create our own economy, and we don't, if you get enough people that are willing to do that, you don't have to have a huge grocery store. Farms can set up their own little stands or little stores that they sell stuff right off of the farm, and we go there and buy it, and we exchange whatever. I mean, even back to barter and trade if necessary. I don't believe they're going to be able to take down 50% of the country, maybe 60% of the country now, that stands against their agenda, if that percentage of the country, downshift, if that percentage of the country says, forget you, federal government, we're not playing your game, we're not doing your digital ID, we're not looking at social credit scores before we sell something to someone else. We're going to be completely separate from that economy, and we're going to do our own. It would be game over. They would be the ones that would become isolated, and we would become the mainstream. And their sinister, evil plans would be done. That's how it would work. And there was a time when I would say things like that or think things like that and go, but it'll never happen because there's not enough people that are willing to get on board to do something like that. I don't say that anymore. I believe there are now enough people that would be willing to do that because they're not going to put up with the nonsense. I think that this Biden administration has been a blessing to us in disguise. And that blessing is that it has woke a lot of people up from their slumber and their blindness to the evil satanic agenda that our government had against us, the people. And that's a good thing. And they can see how the government operates. They can see the corruption in the three-letter agencies. They can see the corruption that's in the FBI, the corruption that's in the DOJ, and the other agencies that work in a globalist, bureaucratic, corrupt manner. And they've turned against it. And so out of desperation, these agencies and these U.S. district attorneys have become so desperate to keep their power and to try to put the American people under their thumb, to get the American people to not be so uppity and to obey them in their satanic, sinister actions. They have now deemed white males to be the biggest threat in America, and Christians to be basically a terrorist organization. Just going to a Christian church on Sunday to worship Christ is an act of terrorism in the eyes of these U.S. district attorneys. That's why I call them idiots and morons, because they've overstepped their bounds. They really have. They have overstepped their bounds. And the more of that kind of stuff that they do, the more loony and crazy and idiotic and nutty they look, and the more reasonable we look. So it just continues to play into their own downfall. They're basically committing political suicide, and they're killing themselves with that kind of those kind of nonsensical statements and that kind of nonsensical attitude. There are a percentage of Americans who have been thoroughly indoctrinated, brainwashed, if you will, into critical race theory, that they will buy into something like that. I saw a video today on X where a black male looked Caribbean to me, because he had the Caribbean look, the way he dressed and did his hair and everything. And I have a great affection for Caribbean. I love their culture. I love their music, their reggae music and everything. They're very kind and loving culture for the most part. But this guy was literally on social media, out loud, to a room of people. It didn't look like there was too many people in there, but a few people. He was stating that the way to solve the problems in the world is to exterminate all white people. Then all the problems would be gone. And that is the insanity of the religious cult called critical race theory, because it is a religious cult, and it has cult members who believe everything that's put out by the advocates of critical race theory. And so this is where we are. The country right now is split between those who have been brainwashed in CRT, brainwashed in thinking that blocking freeways and roads will gain them favor. Oh, that was a beautiful Malibu there, classic car. Thinking that doing these actions where you see the YouTube videos or the BitChute or Rumble videos or on X, TikTok, places like that, where they're blocking these freeways, they're blocking these roads, and people are starting to run them over. They're starting to drive right through and saying, "Forget you, we're tired of you. You're not going to block this road. We're going to you get in the road, you're going to get hit because we're going to keep going." I've seen several of them like that. You cringe for the people that get hit because you're going, "Oh, it's." I hope they survived, But what are they doing in the road? I mean, even when you were a kid, you were told not to go play in the road, right? But this is the stupidity of a young generation that thinks they can gain favor or gain prominence for their cause by doing those kind of protests. And right now it's the pro-Palestinian protests that are going on. Well, instead of helping innocent Palestinians that are being murdered and targeted for genocide, instead of helping those folks, they're hurting them. And that's what they don't understand, is that by doing that kind of action, that kind of stupid, nonsensical protest, they're not helping anyone. They're hurting the people they're claiming they want to help. And it tells me that they could really care less about the Palestinians. They're more about being seen on social media as this virtue signaling, pharisaical do-gooder that is, "See, I am doing the right thing. I'm doing good things. How wonderful am I?" Well, that's what Christ rebuked the Pharisees for doing, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of insanity, a lot of craziness, a lot of very poor thinking happening in our society. And I can only hope and pray that as the consequences of that type of thinking begin to take effect upon the people who think that way, and they begin to have very, very negative consequences to that they'll begin to say, "You know what, maybe this is not the way I want to go. Maybe this is not the right thing." I saw another one today where it's a single guy, one guy, usually they're in groups, but this is one guy trying to stand in front of a truck. It was a large SUV, like a Chevy Tahoe type of SUV, and had a bat, and he's pushing on the grill of the truck and kind of trying to pound on it with the bat, like, "You don't go, I'm the righteous one here, you do what I tell you." And the guy just kept going, and so he moved to the side and tried to hit the door at the side, and the guy in the truck stops the truck, he opens his door, gets out of the truck, grabs the bat away from the protester, takes the bat, just slings it off somewhere else, and then proceeded to physically dominate that protester. Ended up, the protester hit the ground, and it was a ground and pound. If you ever watched the UFC and heard of ground and pound, it was one of those situations for a couple moments. And then he, was lecturing this protester a little bit more, and then gets up, walks back to his truck, and drives on. This kind of stuff is going to start happening more and more. And the reason is because people have had enough. They're sick and tired of it. And don't be surprised if you don't have native Europeans rising up and going on vigilante defensive attacks against these immigrants that have come in from the Middle East and other places. And these immigrants have been attacking the European women, harassing them sexually, Doing all kinds of horrible and evil stuff. And it's going to get to a point as authorities don't want to do anything about it because of virtue signaling, because, oh, well, they're this particular race, therefore we can't do anything. The common people in Europe will start rising up and saying, that's it, we've had enough. You go and attack somebody in front of me, it's going to be a ground and pound. I am going to go totally ballistic on you, right? And we're starting to see people start to fight back and say, you know what? We didn't come to attack you. We didn't bother you. You came over and started messing with us. That's it. We're not putting up with it. You're going to face some serious consequences. And that's where we are. I think we'll start seeing it in Europe. In Ireland, we're starting to see that already. And we're starting to see it in the United States. For a while there, it was the white guilt thing, the white fragility. It was we'll just bow down and submit and all that. I never did that. I thought that was stupid from the very beginning. But they make them feel bad, feel guilty, because they give them a false understanding of history. Well, your ancestors are the cause of all problems, so therefore you have to do this or do that. That's the biggest lie in critical race theory. It's garbage, okay? If you study real history, you find out that acts of evil and torture and slavery it was common among all the different races at that particular time. How many white Europeans were enslaved by black Africans during the Barbary pirate slavery, trade slave, and other? It wasn't just them. They were going into Europe and kidnapping white Christians and taking them into Africa and doing all kinds of horrible things to them. So it's not exclusive to one race. Now, I just wonder, those who believe that nonsense, if all the white people were exterminated, as that one guy wanted to do they actually believe that they would then live in a utopia? Or that all the world's problems would suddenly just be solved? What they've done is they have become the Idi Amins, the Genghis Khans, the Stalins and Lenins and Hitlers of the world, looking to wipe out a particular people or whatever because of ethnic cleansing. There's few things more evil than that. I would put human trafficking and the sex trafficking to be very evil, but those two are among the most evil things. So the bottom line is, this globalist plan will fail. It will fail miserably. It's fallen apart. I said that the dam will get holes and leaks in it, and the leaks will start coming. And then as the cracks continue to happen in the globalist dam, it will collapse and it will fall apart, and a flood of freedom and populism will flood the land. And so that's where I'm at. That's what's going to happen. I've read the book. I'm reading the books even now of the globalists and the anti-globalists and what they're saying. And frankly, folks, the globalists, their days are numbered. Their days are numbered. And they really want to go after Trump because they know Trump will, if he gets back in office, you're going to see a different Trump, because it'll be a no holds barred, as they used to call it. He's going to be grounding and pounding these corrupt globalists that have made these evil plans to depopulate people, to commit acts of genocide against people, these crimes of shutting people down and all this kind of stuff. He's going to go ballistic on them, and he will. You will see them going to prison instead of the J6ers. You will see them facing some serious consequences for their actions. And I know we can't wait for that to happen, but we have to be patient. And as God wills and His determination of His providence, it will happen according to His will. So thanks for watching. Anyway, just thought I'd give a little update and a little pep talk, because I'm almost into Locust now. So God bless you guys, and we'll see you next time on the C-Files.